This is a test of the emergency broadcast system. Hey everybody, how are we doing today? Alright, so it is July, and for those of you in the poultry business, you know that this means it's time to get those turkeys started and going for Thanksgiving. And the door just shut. What we're going to show you here is some of the steps we've taken this year for successfully brooding turkeys, and hopefully you can learn a few things that'll help you out reduce that mortality of these poults when they're in your brood. So turkeys are probably one of the most challenging birds that I've ever dealt with when it comes to brooding. Broilers, good to go, egg layers, fine. But when it comes to turkeys, there's a lot of things they're susceptible to. A lot of times it's their own stupidity that gets the best of them. And so this year we really pulled out a lot of the stops and tried a bunch of new things with brooding turkeys. And we've had some really good success with this first batch that we've put through our brooder. So what you're looking at here, this is our sea container brooder that you've seen a video on before. And what we did to set it up for turkeys is we installed a turkey drinking system as opposed to the nipple-based broiler one. And what we did is just zip tied it to the bottom of the broiler line. So what you see along here on the top, those are the broiler drinkers. But then down here, this is a system designed for turkeys. And it'll make you laugh at how idiot proof they have to make this thing. But your water comes out of the toggle up here, and it will travel down this straw into the little cup here for them to drink out of. Now what's really cool is this little plastic ball here. When the water level gets drunk down, the ball will push the straw over to the edge, allowing more water to be triggered from the toggle down into the cup. And these little idiots like to peck at the red ball, and it gets their beak in the water. So kudos to whoever thought up of that system, because it's ingenious on getting these little dummies to drink. And those of you who have brooded turkeys know exactly what I'm talking about. Something else that we did different this year was for the bedding. We've used chips in the past and had turkeys die in the brooder because they eat the chips and it impacts their gut and they die. So this year we actually used peat moss for the bedding, and it has worked really well. These birds that we're looking at here are 3 weeks old tomorrow, and we've had no mortalities from bedding consumption. So another success there. Now, I will share with you the mistake that I made that resulted in our biggest loss in the brooder, and that's with these things. So these are feather feeders, which they're really nice. It's a 5-gallon bucket. You can just fill up with feed, and there's no bottom to the bucket. It clicks into this base, and so as they peck at the feed, just more feed keeps coming out. And they've worked really well. We've used these for our broilers all year without any problem at all. But as you can see, those two little jokers back there, they like to sit on top of stuff. So when it came to the feather feeders, and these birds got old enough to start jumping around, they jumped in here. And we had an incident where we lost quite a few of these because they jumped in there and suffocated their buddies and kept piling in there and piling in there. So we came out in the morning, there was a half a bucket of feed and half a bucket of dead turkeys. So that's a lesson we learned the hard way, and now we have lids on the feather feeders. But if we put aside that mistake that is entirely my fault, we're probably riding at, I would say, 2% mortality with these turkeys at 3 weeks, which is fantastic. I guess the last thing I would mention is this is our broiler brooder, but when we set it up for the turkeys, we did sanitize it and pressure wash the whole thing out, ran the fans for a while to ventilate it. We didn't use any bleach. That might be something to use, but it seemed a good pressure washing took care of it. Heaters run a lot warmer. So you can see there's one hanging back there. There's one right here as well. We started them out at, I think, about 104 underneath, and we have them turned down to 80 right now, and these birds seem to be doing well. So success there. But a couple other things we'll point out. Turkeys are about the dumbest creature possible to brood. So when you're doing them, checking them half a dozen times a day is super critical, especially during that first week, 10 days. You'll even get up at night, go out and check on them. What you'll see is they try to bunch up in the corners of your brooder, sometimes out in the middle, into these big clumps, pile-ups, where they will suffocate their buddies down in the bottom of the pile. Something I found really effective for breaking up these piles is one of these little reflector rods. You see people put them at the end of their driveway. And I go around and actually just wave it over the birds. You can see I'm just waving that over them and they're moving off. So they really don't like seeing this red reflector. So instead of physically having to grab each one and pull them away, just wave that around. And that gets them stirred up, moving around. They go drink, they get a bite to eat. They're back in business. So a couple of tips here that I hope help you keep the brooder very hot. You're going to start them out over 100 degrees in the brooder. Ventilation needs to be high, so like our door is shut all the time in here with our negative pressure system circulating air through the top of the brooder and then exiting out the fan there in the back. We're running our percentage timers at a 5-minute interval between 20 and 30%. So that means every 5 minutes the fan is going to kick on for at 20% it would be 100 seconds. At 30% it would be 150 seconds, something like that. But basically it's running a little bit less than half of the time, just keeping fresh air circulating through the brooder. So key takeaways that we've used to find success with brooding turkeys this year: turkey drinker lines, worth the money, very expensive, about $400 per line, but they bolted right up to the existing system we had, same brand, which is Lubing, L-U-B-I-N-G. You can look them up online. You do have to buy their products through a dealer, but that's been very helpful on the waterfront. We've had no drownings like you will have if you use fountain drinkers. Bedding, switch over to peat moss instead of wood chips. Success on that one. Feather feeders, have a bulk amount of feed available all the time for the birds, with lids. We learned that lesson the hard way as well. And then frequent stirring of the birds using our handy little reflector. So these birds will be going out to pasture here in about a week. I'm actually going away for a couple days on vacation, so hopefully everything will be good to go while I'm gone. And when I get back, these birds will be going out to the field as we move them through the process to have that fresh turkey ready for all of our customers 2 or 3 days before Thanksgiving. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Drop a subscription if you can. Really appreciate the support. And until next time, get after it.